think we have to start enforcing that. We have to start asking, what law gives you the right to stop my use? What law gives you the right to come into my county and all of a sudden start closing roads? Now, I grew up on a cattle ranch. I'm the 5th generation to live in that same old house in Big Piney, Wyoming. And it was really interesting growing up on that ranch because we used to go to meetings where they would try to tell us that our cattle 150 miles away were somehow or the other impacting the geysers in Yellowstone Park. I am not kidding you. And I would listen to these guys and think, you know, if we were as bad as they say that we are, we'd have put ourselves out of business 4 generations ago. You should be proud of what you do and proud of who you are, and you do not need a law to be able to manage your homes and manage your lives. Now let me tell you something else about the Constitution. I think this is really interesting. You know Daniel Webster, the guy that wrote the dictionary? He did not write the first dictionary so y'all could spell better. In fact, if you look at one of the first dictionaries in the first publication in the very front, it says that he wrote the dictionary so that they couldn't change the meaning of the words in the Constitution. When the founders were inspired to write that document, he was so concerned that the courts would screw it up. He wrote the dictionary to keep those meanings true to what the founders envisioned for this country. And another thing you've got to remember is that a lot of people make the mistake and they call it my constitutional rights. Ladies and gentlemen, the Constitution does not give you rights. God gives you rights. The Constitution is the document that stops the government from taking your rights. So the next time you hear somebody talk about your constitutional right, you should correct him and say, no, it's my guaranteed right, because that is not where your rights came from. And if you look at the Federalist Papers, if you look at the writings of the founders, they wrote the Bill of Rights, and even though private property is not mentioned until the 5th Amendment, they believe that the foundation for every single right in this country, our freedom of speech, our freedom to vote, our freedom to petition, it's all based on the right of ownership of private property. And it doesn't matter whether that private property is my parents' ranch in Big Piney, Wyoming, or your right to make a living and to hold something, or your ideas, they're your property. And the founding fathers believed that that was the basis for every other freedom we have in this country. Now, I don't want to go over my 5 minutes with all these guys with guns up here, but I am going to tell you one of the questions you've been asking is, why is this happening? I can tell you one of the reasons it's happening is because the federal government pays environmental groups to sue the federal government to stop your use of your property. And the federal government doesn't even track the money. They have absolutely no idea how much money they've paid. Right now, in the salmon litigation that was filed by Earth Justice representing the National Wildlife Federation, the federal government, for litigation that's not over, has paid $2 million to the environmental groups. So ladies and gentlemen, you're funding your own demise. Because that kind of money is going to these groups. Because the federal government doesn't track it. Sitting in my little law firm with a computer and a paralegal in Cheyenne, Wyoming, we tracked $36 million paid to 19 environmental groups in 9 years. And we only polled 19 states. You imagine how much money we're talking about if we're looking at all the states? This kind of madness has to stop. We have to get control of this government. One way to do that is rallies like this, standing with sheriffs like this, standing up for our country, teaching our children. I got to tell you one quick story. We were reading in the newspaper the other day about how the federal government is trying to rebrand itself, you know, like advertising. They are. They're trying to rebrand themselves as the federal family. Because according to the newspaper, that sounds better than the bureaucracy. And so my husband and I are standing in the kitchen and we're laughing about the federal family, and my 17-year-old son rolls his eyes and says, "This is the most dysfunctional family I have ever heard of." So thank you for having me. I appreciate your sheriffs. I appreciate you for electing them, and keep up the fight.
I'm going to take care of a couple of housekeeping rules real quick before I start. And I'm going to start off with a good attorney joke. Actually, I'm just kidding. Just kind of testing out the microphone to see how far away from my face I need to hold this. So I would like to introduce my wife and my son, Tyler and Roseanne. A couple other things that I would like to bring up is that I'm from Grant County, Oregon. We should be brother and sister counties. We are so much alike that when I walk through the door back here this evening, this gentleman right back here running all the electronics, his dad is one of my deputies in my county. Could I ask for your help in, there were quite a few people in the video that are here tonight. Could you please stand up? If there's any people, this gentleman back here. What I would like to say is that during that video, there was a lot of emotion. And if you people think that these are the only people that this dam removal is going to affect, you've got another thing coming. I can see the exact same thing happening in my county with our schools, with our city government, with our county government, with our state government, and the only thing that's out of control is the federal government. Our schools are down about 50% in their enrollment. Our high school alone had about 1,200 students. Just this last year, they closed our junior high and consolidated it with the high school. Our population in our school right now is at about 600 students. The school government is coming to the county asking to borrow money when we are one of the richest timber counties in the state of Oregon. How asinine and uncalled for is this? And it's brought on by the only people that we have in positions that we are asking to take care of us. And it's wrong. I've heard a couple of the other sheriffs up here speak, and they mirror exactly where I stand. We have taken an oath of office. Every elected official has taken an oath of office. If they haven't taken the oath of office, they don't belong in office. Some of the things that have gone on that in the county that I reside in, where I serve, started seeing the excessive use of force and people getting guns pointed at them by federal officers for wood permit violations, road closure violations. It's excessive use of force. It's uncalled for. It's unacceptable. I am not a government employee. I am a public servant. I serve the people who elected me. I serve the people that elected me to office. There's no guarantee from one day to the next whether I'll be in office. However, I chose on my own to take a stand, to stand between bad government, bad choices, bad decisions, and the way people are treating the people that I am sworn to protect and defend them, whether they're from my county or whether you come to our county to visit or recreate, or if you have a business or if you're just traveling through. I have a duty and an obligation to keep you from bad government. I can honestly say that it's an honor and a pleasure to stand up here with the rest of the sheriffs and with Karen. And I just want to say thank you to the family that's going to host us tonight and give us a place to stay. It's been an honor to come down and visit a lot of people. There's another gentleman here in the front row that was from Monument, which is in my county. He's from up in the Medford-Roseburg area. He's traveled down to, and you know what, I don't know what else to say. It's, if there's any other elected officials out there, I just beg of you to defend the people that have put you in office and put you in the position you're in, to defend them and to support them. And, you know, and it's up to you folks to hold them accountable. Hold us accountable. I don't want to drag this out too much later. A couple other things on the Constitution I would like to bring up. And if I can read the Constitution and understand it and make just a little bit of sense out of it, it's not that difficult of a document to open it up and read it. Read your state constitution and read the U.S. Constitution. I think, to me, the most important provision in the U.S. Constitution is the 10th Amendment. I think I'm going to close with this last little bit, and we need to realize that water rights, mining rights, all have a private property clause or an issue with them. Don't let them take them from you. Don't relinquish them and don't give them up. Stand up and defend for what you believe in.